What's going on, Excel fanatics? Vertex is here. Today we're going over VLOOKUPs. Now, as far as a lookup goes, there are about 4 different kinds of functions or formulas that I know of. Probably more, but those are the 4 I can think of right now. There's a regular lookup, a VLOOKUP, an HLOOKUP, and an XLOOKUP. Now, XLOOKUPs are relatively new. I think that's something I'm going to go over in a separate video. But H and V lookups, the difference in the lettering there, they're all essentially the same thing. It comes down to finding one bit of information within another set of information. Now the thing is with V lookups and H lookups, today is just V lookups, but just so you know, when it comes to V, it is about the vertical, so it's about the column. And I'll show you what that means in a second, but the H in H lookup is about the row or the horizontal. So that's just a quick reference there, and you'll see why as we kind of dissect the formula itself. So now I'm going to go ahead and just, with any formula itself, you always start with an equals sign, right? So you do equals, and then we're going to go ahead and start typing VLOOKUP. So VL, so you see there's only, out of VL, this is the only thing that pops up. So VLOOKUP here, this is what we want. You can either click it or press the tab key, which I'm going to do. And now you can actually see here how this formula breaks out the different criteria it needs in order to solve what you're looking for. So you see this lookup value. So right now what I need to look for, I'm going to go down the list in column G here. I want to look up the value 1 in this table all the way to my left, so B through D here, and rows 2 through 7. So I'm looking up the value 1, and now I'm going to do comma. And the table array, so the table array I just went over, so I'm going to highlight this. I'm just using this one column right now because I'm just trying to find the number 1 in this section here. So I'm going to end that so that comma is set. You can see actually how each of these went bold when you're on the specific criteria. So we had these two entered in after the comma was in. Now we need the column index number. So we're only dealing with one column right now, so we're actually just going to go ahead and put the number 1. Now this section here, this range lookup, is a binary answer, so it's either true or false. We're always going to use false because we want to know an exact answer on 1. When it comes to true, and I'll show you, I guess, what it shows you when you use true, but the thing is, it kind of gives you an answer, whereas false, you want to find exactly what you're looking for. So probably doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but that I will show you what that means. But essentially, false, right? This is what we want. So we found G3, we found 1. B2 to B7 is the table that's highlighted there in red. 1, only one column we're dealing with, so just 1, and then false. And look, the number 1 came up because it found 1. So that was easy, right? So once again, G3, as you select the cell, that highlights. B2 to B7, you selected this range here, so that's why that filled in like that. 1 being, once it found the 1 here in this data set, what column does you want it to display? And we're only dealing with one column, so it's just the 1. And then false, as I was mentioning, we want it to be 1. If it doesn't find 1, we don't want it to make up an answer. We want it to be either you found 1 or you didn't. So enter. So let's try this again with Marcia here too, right? So equals VLOOKUP again. And now there's 2 ways you can do it. I know I just kind of selected the cell last time, but here you can either select this cell, or when you're typing a name, you're looking for one, always use quotation marks. It won't be able to find what you're looking for if you don't. It won't recognize it as text. So you can either do it like that, but to kind of stay consistent, I'm going to go ahead and just select the cell itself. So this is the value we're looking for. We're looking for Marcia. Table array. It's very similar to what we just did. I'm only going to highlight this one. So I'm highlighting C3 through C7. Comma. Column index number. So column 1, this is only one column that we're dealing with. The one column here. So I'll show you why that's important as far as the numbers, because we're only dealing with 1 once we find Marcia. Once it's telling you right here. So finding Marcia in that table set, and once we find Marcia in that table set, show the answers in column 1. And we're going to stick with false. And we found Marcia. Okay. Okay, so Mary. So here's what happens when you can't, when it doesn't find